In this video help, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be talking about billing and the billing tab on the asset management screen. To start with, this is a custom application, and because it is a custom application, anything in this area are alternative items. In other words, these things were added to a specific user or user type. If you see something that you don't see will work for you, that is why is it a custom app. What we can do is modify the application to fit your specific needs. For example, you'll notice on the website on targetsolutions.biz that there's a number of equipment apps, different types. This particular application was designed for asset managers and asset equipment managers where they need to have the flexibility to do certain kinds of things. And in this case, an invoice or a work order would be an option where this could either be a billing invoice or it can be modified to act as a work order. Now the service app has a work order that it includes additional fields for in-service type of data entry where you add specific things about the tasks that are being done on a piece of equipment, or they could even be things like ancillary equipment that are attached or whatever that may be assembled or deassembled, or some work that has to be done where an invoice may be required or a work order may be required. So you have those kind of options under a custom app to have those added. Now, looking at this particular tab at the very top, you're going to see where it talks about billing. Now, if you do charge tax, there is a way to monitor and manage your tax if you're charging it on your invoice. If not, you just don't have to put in a percentage rate, and that will not charge you taxes. And you have the option, because this is a drop-down, to set whatever tax you want. In addition, you can go to another screen where on scrollers within the application, if you're using this on an iPad, you can edit and put a number in there, but it's better to have a drop-down that allows you to pick from alternative things on any of these scrolling drop-downs. So in this case, what you're looking at is the tax, and any other one that has a drop-down will also have an underline on it, where the drop-down has an option where you can change the field data that's used in the drop-down. And each one of these has a screen where you would go add, like I showed in a prior video, where you can add or edit the information as you're setting up your application. There's also drop-downs for calendars and all these areas where you can just pick a date from anywhere in the future or past in order to put information in. We were looking at the data up here. The next thing, there's a subtotal, a total, there's a sum paid, and a balance due. Well, that's all a factor of what's going on in these record rows. When you set up this particular set of information, interestingly enough, the way this application is set up, billing is for the life of this piece of equipment, meaning every time there was a billing or billing item on this particular piece of equipment, it is restored or retained in this area so that you can view it. You do not delete these records because it shows all the activity related to this particular item as far as the billing is concerned. When you go to the actual billing invoice, the billing invoice allows you to pick a date range, a customer, or other information that's related to this record where you want to, but those are the primary. You can do a date range, or a customer for this particular invoiced item on an invoice, and you can show all the activity for it. Now, one of the things you can also do is, because you might be billing out to a certain client, you might have multiple pieces of equipment going out on one day. What you can do is, in each equipment record, you can make a line entry for whatever's going to happen as far as that asset is concerned. And then when you go to the invoice, you can pick and choose each piece of equipment that's going to be on the invoice for that date and that customer. And you can omit individual lines if you want to. Say like one line was a quote, and you don't want that to show up on the invoice, or you do want to. You can have the option to remove it from the current invoice or add it into it. Now, since you're running it like that and you create invoices, the invoice is cleared out after it is actually billed. So you should keep a paper copy of the actual presented invoice that you sent out to the client. Or you can back it up by taking a PDF of that particular image on an iPad or whatever and storing it wherever you want to as far as a digital copy. And you can also do that on the desktop application where you can change any screen into a PDF file and store it in a digital form. There's a lot of different things. I can't cover all of them, but if you want to ask questions, I can add additional capabilities, especially on the iPad, that is very flexible, where it allows you to shoot screen views and also edit those screen views in a PDF file. And there's also sign and send, depending on additional apps you may have on your iPad for a PDF that might want a signature added on it. Now, so what we're doing now is we're adding a line by line of anything that might be involved where we want to bill it. You have the option to bill it now, later. You can see pay on delivery, pay on return, or a quote. Whatever data you put out here on the end of this that shows up in the actual invoice kind of depicts whether or not this particular item is being currently used, or it's a reservation, or what it might be. It could even be a client carryout or a consumable item, or it could be something that your customer's coming in to pick up and you're just tagging it with that on it so that you know what the status is on it. And the same thing occurs when you're using the assignment of an asset, or you can look at the calendar or the available equipment, and you can assign different types of statuses to that as well. So you have a lot of flexibility in how you're looking even at an invoice or the assignment. Now the way that this works, and I'm going to walk through one here, I'm going to say that we're going to have a payment that is going to be taken on an invoice on Friday. It's going to be for a equipment swap. We're going to go pick up a piece of equipment and replace it with another one. And we're going to charge whatever the cost for that is. And let's just say it's $200. So we put in $200, and it's going to be a one-time activity. I'm going to put it in there as a one-time. And what I'm going to do is I'm not going to charge interest, but I could, or tax. Let's just put it in just so you can see it calculates it. And it actually runs the cost out. And then I'm going to go turn right around and watch. I'm going to click back in here one time. I'm going to back that out, and I'm going to take out the tax. And because this is on a newer date, as soon as I clicked off the record, the newest date invoiced item goes to the top, and now you see it at the top. I have a $200 fee. I'm going to put in here a note. Because this is an equipment swap, I'm going to put in there whatever is available in this list, like delivery to a client site. And I'm going to go ahead and put the type of equipment that we're going to deliver. In this case, it's the forklift. And I'm going to send it to, say, Adams Products. Now, what happens, this information I'm adding here is also being placed on the invoice. So Adams Product, their delivery address, their telephone number, and 2 contacts are going to be added to the invoice when I go to the invoice. So I've just created a transaction here, and I've marked it as a delivery to the client. And I had another one down here for delivery to the client, but it's the same piece of equipment on a different day. Let's say we're going to change this. Let's make this actually a pickup. And this was the same piece of equipment that was out there, and I've changed it from a delivery to a pickup, but I'm still going to deliver something to the client site or pick it up. And in this particular case, I'm going to say it could be a reservation pending, or it could be something that I'm going to do a customer pickup. So in this case, you can have some flexibility there. Now, interestingly enough, most of this information on the invoice is done in the background here. Where on an equipment assignment, you can change certain things, and you can also change the status on a piece of equipment that has an inventory status on it, and you're looking at the available equipment information. This is something you just kind of have to look at and kind of learn through these videos how it works. And if you have questions, you can always contact me and get the answer that you're looking for. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to go to the payment tab, and we're going to take the information that was created on this page, and we're going to go ahead and make a payment on here. Now, one of the things I'm going to point out before I leave here, you can actually run this video here, and when you do not want something to be billed as an item and you do not want it to show up as a billed item for a total, just remove the quantity, either by quantity or days. Take that particular number out of here and it'll zero it out like you see in this record here. A lot of times you want to do that when you have something like a quote. so that when it shows up on the invoice, there's not a billed amount and it's shown as a quote, but it's showing the customer what the potential cost is minus the sales tax. So you can see the sales tax, but it's not being charged at this point, and it's only a quote. Now, if you want to send it out as a quote and mark it as a quote, and then go ahead and send it out as a potential billed item and put your number in there, just be careful that you might not get that paid, and you need to put a note on whatever you're sending device you're going to send this on, that it is a quoted item and it's not a part of the actual billing at this point. Okay, but it gives you the flexibility to consider the ways you want to do that. I'm going to change it back to a delivery again. Now, when you make the payment, this field here at the top of the screen will actually still show. And it looks like in this case there was a partial payment of $214 that was not taken off prior to this. And it was probably because this was actually in there. And now you'll see that it has a $200 balance based on the information that's in here, because I now added this into the invoice and it's a delivery. So I'm just showing you some of the alternatives you have to do. This will show the running summary of all the charges for all the billings that have been done here. If you go to the invoice and you change the invoice, then the summary total will be what is on the invoice that you're billing with. It only covers the items that are actually being billed. Okay, this will conclude this particular video. The next one we're going to be doing is the payment tab, and we're going to explain how to do payments. If you need to see the billing list, the invoice, the billing listing, or the billing report to get additional information, these are hot button icons that'll take you to those screens. You can always use the app drop-down, which is a rapid way to get to things all the way through the application. Once again, this is a custom app, and a lot of these things like the billing report and the invoice can be modified to fit your needs. Thank you.